All right, guys, so the time has finally come. It is finally time to start working on the new FD car. Season's over, there's no more drift events. I'm pretty much out of excuses, so it is time to get going. We've got my friend Matt Endo back there. We're starting to take some brake parts off so we can get the subframe dropped. We just got in a big order from ISR Suspension, partnering up with them this year. They're really coming through to help us out with a bunch of key components to help get power down to the ground and allow for maximum adjustability and have good spare parts in the trailer as well. A lot of people look at ISR negatively, but really, I mean, they make a great part. I've ran ISR for 5 years now, some of which are the original parts. Times are still tight. I've gotten into big wrecks and had really no issues with them whatsoever. And not to mention, you know, why spend $500 on a set of arms whenever accidents happen? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I've been in a few bumps and grinds, so ISR seems to be the ticket for me. I don't see myself going away from it unless I ever make the change to WiseFab rear, which it's a big expense to have two of those kits sitting on the back, or one on the back of the car and one sitting in the trailer. So we're gonna see what we can do about getting this thing dropped real quick. Okay, so a lot of people haven't done anything like drop a rear subframe before. Really, I mean, it looks like there's a lot going on, but it's actually really simple. So the only things that are really gonna hold you up once you get the subframe bolts out are the brake lines and the emergency brake cables back here. So we just disconnected a brake line, letting some of the fluid drip out so it doesn't get all over the floor. And then there is a subframe bolt right here, and then another one up here. And then there's one on each side, and essentially, man, everything will drop right out, assuming that you have the drive shaft out already, which this car didn't come with one. So with that, it's pretty simple. We'll be able to disconnect the axles and the diff and get everything torn apart for the new stuff that's coming in. We'll throw away these old rotors, put something a little bit bigger on there, throw on a drop knuckle and some good ISR arms that we got in. And really, it'll be ready to go back in before we know it. So that's a quick update. All right, so we have the brakes off, caliper and rotor and everything are off now. We didn't necessarily have to take those off, but they're gonna have to come off at some point anyways. So everything is about ready to go. Like I said, just these, I guess there's little brackets down here. Get a light. We'll have to pull these brackets off with these bolts there. And then this main bolt will have to come off. And there aren't no brackets here in the back. Just that one bolt right there. And then that should be a pretty quick drop down. So we are 8 bolts away from taking this thing down already. Quick work. We've been at this for about 20 minutes. So it's one of the fastest subframe drops I've done. So sounds good to me. I love easy jobs. Okay, so all of the bolts are out of the subframe. It seems to be a little bit front heavy. So I am afraid as soon as I start to drop this jack, it's going fucking straight forward. But we'll see what happens. If it does, it does. It's just steel. I wish Harbor Freight jacks had a slow setting to go down, but this where they're all or nothing. Oh, get a little hot on me. Yeah, it's going down on the face, bud.
Jack up.
It's alright, it's a little too late now. She's going down. Alright, you want to grab that side up front?
Me?
Yeah. Up there.
Right here?
Grab that front ear. Yeah, right there. Just let it down easy.
You're caught up on this, you're about through it now.
Oh, baby. Beautiful.
Hold on, you got a Phillips?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to get that out. All right. We're officially out. What was it, about 30 minutes? Not bad. We ended up forgetting one of the brackets for the emergency brake cables to come off. But super easy. It's got 5 bolt axles on it, and it's an ABS diff, so it's pretty much a throwaway for me. But I do have another diff in that car that we'll be able to take out, slide it over. She's held through 2 years of abuse. That's either really good news that it's going to last, or really bad news that it's going to break next run. Finally broke my first axle on this thing after 2 years. So if anybody needs any 5-bolt axles or an ABS diff, I'm your guy. Shoot, that passenger axle still OEM Nissan, so you know it's got some miles left on her. So a common failure point on these subframe bushings, as you can see, this thing's a little cockeyed. Yeah, that was literally the first try trying to pull that out. So I figured it was just a little bit cracked. 2 entire pieces. And if you look real closely, there's some hairline cracks on the corner of that there, and this back bushing is a little bit of better shape, but it is definitely gonna go soon too. Oh, and the front one on the other one's bad. So I'm sure they might have got finished off by lowering this thing down, but that right there is a good testament as to why you always go solid bushings in the back pretty much anytime you're gonna set a car up for drift. Risers are the most ideal, but FD doesn't allow that, so we'll have to run your regular bushings. The ISR is provided here for us. And, we've got their diff bushings for the back mount of the diff where it mounts up to the back of the subframe. The bushings that the ears mount up to the subframe from the front. And then their subframe bushings are a 2-piece rather than a drive up from the bottom. One goes into the bottom, the other one goes in on the top, and it has a little spacer built in. I know that's horrible to see, but you can kind of see there's a little lip there. And for some reason FD requires it because they want everything in factory suspension locations, so, which makes it a little bit more fun, evens the playing field. That way you don't have a bunch of tube chassis cars out there just going out there shredding on everybody else when they have limitless budgets. You know, kind of like it is right now. All right, so it is the next day. I came back to the shop and got the diff and axles taken out of it. I have a friend of mine wants to come pick those up. Because like I said, they're pretty much of no use to me. I'm gonna source maybe a couple of diffs most likely. I don't know if I have it in the budget to get a winter's quick change. As much as I'd love one, I'll probably have to wait for the 2020 season for that. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably just get like a 436 rear end factory R200 diff with some better axles. And I'll also probably do like 2 410s, because obviously those are the most common. That's what we're most used to drifting on. And I might even get something like a 390 if I can as well. Sure, it won't be a quick change, but anybody who knows what they're doing with the right tools can get a diff changed out at the track in 20 or 30 minutes. So it should still be a pretty quick job. So, I mean, if we had limitless budget like a lot of these pros out here, we would have no problem being able to do that, get a winners. But, you know, it's tough being broke. So we're gonna make it happen with the best that we can do. I know a lot of people out there are still not even rocking a quick change. I mean, shoot, Frederick Osbo doesn't even have a quick change. He uses a factory Supra diff, and they change the gearing in their transmission anytime they need. That's straight out of Steph Papadakis' mouth. That's pretty sweet. I'm not gonna do that. Hopefully the dog box lasts me all season. We picked up a T101A off of Caleb Quambeck. Still waiting on the bell housing and the shifter, and we got to get a clutch for it and everything before we're ready to go. But baby steps. We're finally working on the car. Hopefully this will give me some good motivation to continue on, get the diff or get the subframe bushings out, get the new ones put in, source a diff and axles, and get those put in so the car's at least mobile. And hopefully we'll be sending it off for a cage in a couple weeks. So now that the diff and axles are out, I guess it's on to something else. I don't really feel like taking off the suspension arms and the lower control arms right now. I'm just being pretty lazy, to be honest, because it's really cold in here. So I'm just going to flip the subframe over as it is, and I'm going to go to town with an air hammer and see how easily I can get these subframe bushings out. If not, I'm just going to have to go back to the good old-fashioned way of burning them out. That's the only way I've ever done it. That's how all my friends have done it in the past. So that's the only way I know how to do it. Guy at work today was like, why don't you just get on an air hammer and give it a try? So we're going to see how that works out for us. I will give you an update, see how it went. Okay, so I have the subframe bushings burning right now. The reason I believe to be doing that, I didn't understand it for the longest time, but it really, let me get a light here. I'll be able to show you a little bit better. It really makes this rubber freaking rot like crazy. As you can see, just freaking goes right away.
So it allows you to hammer out the center section there. And what I've always found easiest is once you get that center metal sleeve out, you get a Sawzall, and it's pretty hard to do very well. But you Sawzall the, I guess, outer metal sleeve into where there's a slit all the way up it without damaging the outside of the subframe itself, and then you're able to kind of curl it in with a hammer and a chisel or an air hammer or whatever it is. Didn't have a whole lot of luck with an air hammer. I've got just a cheap $150 Blue Point. That's nothing really crazy, but it didn't seem to be doing really anything at all. So hopefully this does it. We'll get the centers hammered out, and I guess we'll pretty much just have to regroup tomorrow because I am fresh out of Sawzall blades. So we'll see what we can come up with tomorrow. Hopefully Matt's gonna come back over and give me another hand, and hopefully make some headway and be able to get the new bushings installed tomorrow. We've got the new bushings in the freezer, so hopefully they shrink up a little bit and should go right in. All right, so with the help of my blowtorch and a little bit of a hammer and a chisel, I was able to hit a chisel just between this metal sleeve and hammered out this black rubber. The heat helped dry rot that rubber real quick, and I was able to hammer right through and then hit this metal inner sleeve a couple times with the hammer, drove it right through the bottom. Made life super easy. So tomorrow I'll just be able to come in here with a Sawzall and hopefully get these things out in pretty good time. By the way, if anybody has a better way of doing this, please enlighten me. I've seen 4 or 5 different people do it, and they always do it this way, and it sucks every single time. So if you have a better way besides a press, which of course we have, but we don't have any of the dies or anything to make it work, please fill me in because I never want to do this again. So we had a pretty productive day today. We got all the subframe and diff bushings out and cleaned up the holes and everything. Tomorrow I'm going to take the subframe to the car wash and spray it down really good if they're still working. That is, it's like 20 degrees out. But get everything cleaned up and get the subframe as clean as I possibly can. I don't think I'm going to paint it or anything. It's just the factory chassis black, which is good enough for me. I mean, it's not a show car. It's a drift car. I just want to get everything together as soon as possible, providing that I get all the parts that I need to make everything up to snuff for next season. I want to get the car back as a roller, get the car to the car wash. The engine bay is pretty gross. I want to spray all that down and be able to get a good clean slate for paint. I need to get the windshield out and get it over to Omar for a good cage. That being said, tomorrow I think we're going to get back at it. Have a little bit more time tomorrow to do some work, get all the subframe bushings installed, get some control arms and arms on. Ball joints are a couple days out for the lower control arms, so that's going to take a little bit longer. But I got all my ISR arms that they sent me. I'll get all those put on. I might try to get my diff pulled out of my current car and get that put in. And the one get axle left, maybe try to get that put in. But I'm not too certain exactly what I'm going to do for axles and diff right now. So I might just throw the subframe in incomplete. That way it'll at least roll on its own. I'll be able to push it around the shop if need be. But that's pretty much it. We'll, I guess, check back up tomorrow and see what kind of progress we make. All right, so we got all the diff bushings installed and subframe bushings installed so far. Everything went pretty smooth. It's a 2-piece subframe bushing, so we had to hammer this one in from the top and then the other side in from the bottom. The bottom was a little bit of a pain to get in, so those got pretty beat up. And then you have these diff bushings, replace your rubber bushings with a solid bushing, just kind of keep diff from playing back and forth. But it's a pretty simple setup. Very cheap. ISR sells these for a really cheap setup, and I mean, they work in anything. It's a solid bushing. Doesn't get much simpler than that. So we are going to probably start taking the rear end out of this car. I got to put my drop knuckles on. And I've been tossing around selling it, but I need too many parts off of it. I don't want to have to deal with trying to source new ones. So I get the drop knuckles off of there. I can't really fully assemble the rear subframe. Ball joints don't come in until tomorrow morning for the new control arms. In the meantime, we'll just get everything cleaned up and get some stuff out of this car and maybe even start to disassemble the front end of this thing. And
the front of that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
All right, so right now we're taking out the back control arms and everything off of the old car, starting to get the drop knuckles taken off, and we're just going to put the control arms on from my car because they had pretty new ball joints on. I checked the plate on the other side. So far it looks good. Very, very minimal play at all. But other than that, these control arms have seen a lot of abuse. But we're going to put the old the Z32 knuckles that came on the other car back onto here and make it to where it's at least a true roller again. The other side axle is broken in 2 pieces completely. It's pretty awesome. And by awesome, I mean not awesome, because you can't get the passenger side axle. But this is going pretty smooth, pretty easy. We were going to drop the diff out of this, but the exhaust was built poorly designed if you want to work on it yourself and take anything out. So we're going to source another diff or 2 and get it into where at least this new car is mobile, and everything should be pretty simple.
Okay, so it's been about a month since I've done any work to the car. I've just not had any motivation to get anything done and to work on it at all. I actually talked to Kevin Wells, the competition director at Formula D, and talked to him about my old current car, which you guys have seen for, a few years now. It was a great car, but from some of the modifications that were done by the previous owner, I was told that I probably wouldn't be able to run that chassis. Well, after thorough reading of the rule book about 10 times, I thought, like, man, maybe this will work. My concern was floorboard modifications, because I had my floor flattened out. Somebody had told me, or a couple people had told me that was a no-go. Well, when I talked to Kevin, he's like, oh no, that's all good in an S chassis, because people are so tall and gotta have head clearance, like people like James Dean, who's freaking 6'4" or whatever he is. So that part passes. I asked him about a part of my cage, and he said that looks good, but he does want me to redo my door bars, which sucks, but I'll get that taken care of. But I will be able to use my old car, which is awesome. However, all of the work that I just put into this car behind me here, putting in a new subframe and all that stuff, is gonna have to come back out and go over into the blue car, because the blue car has subframe risers in it, and that's a no-go because you have to have bushings that are as tall as factory, or however they want to word it. And all my new suspension arms are on this car. Sad thing is I already took all my brakes and all that crap off of the blue car, but it's all good. I'll get it all swapped over in a night or two, just slow pace, and I'll actually probably putting up the white car for sale, so we will see. I actually also just picked up a supercharger for the car, just a factory LSA blower from the CTSVs in like 2010. I'll probably put down like 520 to 550 wheel, hopefully. That should be plenty to compete with the guys in Pro 2. I'm pretty excited. Stuff's finally starting to fall together. It's looking like we picked up a coilover sponsor, so hopefully I'll be able to get a set out of them. And waiting to hear back from them and a few other companies, and gotta rebuild my transmission. But other than that, everything's looking up. Things are finally starting to fall together. Better late than never. Now we're sitting on end of January, so yeah, like I hope we can get some stuff together. We have a degenerate bash next weekend that a bunch of friends are just gonna go mob our drift cars on the streets and stuff like that, and have a good time. And so hopefully I can get my car ready and out for that. But just need to swap subframes, so nothing too serious. Swap subframes and bleed some brakes and let her eat. But I'll show you some more videos here soon and get this one uploaded, hopefully, finally, after a month of taking videos. So yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be able to get some stuff together for the blue car and get her ready.